All right. All right. So I'm going to silence.
Okay, so as I said, so often we approach meditation for relaxation and calming. We approach it to try to improve ourselves, but it has much more profound capacity, and that's a capacity to actually see reality as clearly as possible. So Jack Kornfield is out of a school called Vipassana. He and Goldstein and I think Sharon Salzberg, um, which is also called insight meditation or the discovery of what we call the wisdom mind. So, what is the wisdom mind? As we've said, the wisdom mind is always present. And the wisdom mind very closely associated with the ventral part of the vagus nervous system. It's a part that is non-judgmental, that is um, open to possibilities, that's joyful, all these things. It's a childlike mind, and the world that we discover when we view it, the way I like to describe it is the different images that come from the Hubble of the same galaxy seen from X rays, infrared, and ultraviolet. There are three different galaxies uh, based on what the machines enable us to see that we don't normally see. So when we sit still, when the mind calms, when it becomes a clear mirror for reality without the contamination of the conditioned mind or fear based mind, of the sympathetic nervous system, the angry mind, which is located there, or the depressed mind, which is in the dorsal part of our brains, a different world is revealed to us. And we begin to see how it's structured. We were talking last week about Dharma. And what is Dharma? Um, it's these laws, the way the world works, not a theory or an interpretation, but a direct perception. And last time we talked about the first law is the law of impermanence. That means that everything you're looking at, you begin to see the quality of it, that it's a bell shaped curve. The whole universe moves in a bell shaped curve. I was reading Einstein last night. Says everything's energy. That's it. There's nothing more to say. It's energy. But look at all energy. It moves in a wave-like pattern. It goes up, it goes down. If you look at the intersection of the yin and the yang on the Tao, and you turn it over on its side, what you got is a sine wave. And that's the Dharma. What goes up is going to come down. Okay? It's not something wrong because it goes down. It's going to go down. Nothing's going to be stable. So the second law of Dharma uh, is what creates our pain. It says when we start to see the laws of nature, this is Kornfield, that things are impermanent, then we also see that we want things to always stay the same. We get attached to things. We want it not to change. We get disappointed when it does, and we suffer trying to fight the impermanence of life. And this is not because we should suffer. This is not God doing something to you. It's not being created. It's not personal to you. It's just the way things are, just like gravity. When we get attached to something staying the way it is, it doesn't stop changing because we don't want it to. Trying to hold on to how it was will only create suffering, disappointment, because life is a river and everything is constantly changing. So when we start to see these laws of nature, that things are impermanent and that it's our attachment to things staying the same that causes our pain, we can begin to sense that there is some other way. And there is. It's a way that can be called the wisdom of insecurity. This is the ability to flow with the changes, to see everything as a process of change, and to relax with the uncertainty of what's going to happen next. Meditation teaches us how to let go, how to stay centered in the midst of change. Once we see that everything is impermanent and ungraspable, and that we create a huge amount of suffering if we're attached to things staying the same, we realize that relaxing and letting go is a wiser way to live. We realize that gain and loss, praise or blame, pain or pleasure are all simply parts of the dance of life, given to each of us born into a human body. Letting go does not mean not caring about things. It means caring for them in a flexible and wise way. In meditation, we pay attention to our body with care and with respect. So that's actually the second noble truth. The first is that there is suffering. It's a part of our human experience. Then the cause of suffering is our wanting things to be different than they are. We're not going to change life, which is what we've done most of our lives prior to coming to meditation. Now we're letting life change us. We're softening. We're learning how to go with the flow of things. So your body, when we sit, is a seat of tremendous change. And today's meditation is going to be on coming to your senses. And I've chosen a reading from an absolutely marvelous book called The Radiant Sutra. And the Radiant Sutra is a story of a dialogue between Shiva and his consort. Shiva's the god of yoga, and his consort, and she's come to him and says, "Oh, smart-ass husband of mine who knows everything that there is, could you please tell me how to attain enlightenment?" And so each one of these little sutras or sermons is a statement about a path to enlightenment. This is extremely sensual. The West has been alienated from our bodies, alienated from the sensual. We equate the sensual with sexual. We can't allow ourselves to feel the sensuality of things because it creates an excitement in the body, an arousal in the body, which is very close to sexual and can lead to sexual feelings. But if we get stuck in the sexual aspect of it, we miss the much richer energetic connection that happens when we let go into that flow of sensation. It's one of the reasons why sexuality and lovemaking is used as a metaphor for union with God. It's not a different process. When you go out into nature, you can have a deep erotic relationship with nature. We just don't shop for enough. So here's what the
I like
radiance.
that. Write that one down. We don't shop for it.
Not that, honey.
Well, I meant in nature.
Yeah, we're not looking for enough. Our senses declare an outrageous world, sounds and scents, ravishing colors and shapes, ever-changing skies, iridescent reflections, all of these beautiful surfaces decorating a vibrant emptiness. Emptiness meaning no permanent form. Light as a feather, the god of love is courting you. Listen to that. Light as a feather, the god of love is courting you. You're being seduced when you go out in nature. And you're sitting there going, "Oh, look at that pretty tree." Okay, open yourself to the seduction. Every perception is an invitation into revelation. Hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, ways of knowing creation. transmissions of electric realization. The deepest reality is always right here, encircled in splendor, in the center of a sphere. You're the center of that sphere of sensation. Meditate where the body thrills to currents of intimate communion. You know those moments where the sun hits your skin, sends a chill through your body, or the wind blows against your neck? Those times where you feel the earth really supporting you and you just become electric. That's out there. That is the love of the universe for you. When it said love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, what the Bible really was inviting us to is an erotic relationship where you go out and you get totally loved, totally filled with all these wonderful energies. And then when we come to each other, we come and spill out of our fullness, not our emptiness, not make me complete. Oh, when I'm with you, I feel whole. No, not at all. It's like, God, how can I love you better? Okay. You hear the difference between those two approaches? But it starts with the prime. We are able to love because he has loved us first, to feel through your senses that love of the universe for you. Meditate where your body thrills to currents of intimate communion. Follow your senses into the end and beyond, into the heart of space. Now we know where Krishna Das got the title of his album, Into the Heart of Space. Okay. So we'll listen today to Jack.
I think it's Jack.
Coming to our senses.
Coming back to your senses.
Coming back. You could do this as a kid. You could feel that stuff when you were a child. You got to remember.
And then we'll just continue for the full 20 minutes after the teaching, after the guided meditation is finished.
A well-known teacher was asked to describe the modern world. He answered, "Lost in thought." When we take a good look at our daily lives, we see that much of the time we're worrying, planning, regretting, being somewhere other than where we are. Often what's going on right where we are is disregarded because we're so focused on the next thing we need to do and the next. There's a cartoon that shows a family crossing the Sahara Desert. Parents on one camel, children, 3 of them on the next 3 smaller camels. The father is responding to the last little girl and says, "Stop asking if we're almost there yet. We're nomads, for crying out loud." We spend much of our life waiting to arrive somewhere else. Like waking from a dream, we might suddenly realize we've been gone for minutes, maybe hours. It's like driving in a car and all of a sudden realizing we have no idea of the landscape we've been through. It's as if we are being propelled by an irresistible current, speeding along, unable to actually arrive in our life. If our habit is to be on our way somewhere else, we miss out on whatever's in front of us. You might say, "I hate my job," or "driving on the same stretch of freeway every day is boring, so why not space out?" But the habit of being lost in thought can also mean you miss out on the parts of life you cherish. The sound of wind in the trees, the taste of a fresh strawberry, the glow in a child's eyes, the touch of a loved one. A social experiment by the Washington Post put a man with a violin playing Bach pieces for 45 minutes in a Washington, D.C. metro station. During that time, approximately 2,000 people went through the station, most of them on their way to work. Only 6 people stopped and listened for a short while. No one knew this, but the violinist was the renowned Joshua Bell. He played one of the most intricate pieces ever written, with a violin worth $3.5 million. If so many of us do not have a moment to stop and listen to one of the best musicians in the world, how many other things are we missing? Mindfulness teaches us how to slow down and live our moments right now, to be present to life with our senses, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, and feeling what is going on inside the body. Neuroscience research has shown that the part of the brain responsible for all forms of sensing, including the interior of the body, grows with mindfulness training. And being aware of your senses and the sensations in your body can enhance empathy and help you make wise choices. When our senses are open, the adventure of living begins. We start taking in our world with immediacy and freshness, with vividness and wonder. Poet Khalil Gibran writes, "And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair." When we are present, we share that delight. You've started your mindfulness training arriving in presence, pausing and feeling your body breathing, relaxing and opening to your moment-to-moment experience. In this next guided mindfulness practice, you'll explore how to deepen that sense of presence by intentionally awakening to your senses. Again, find a way to sit comfortably and undisturbed for about 5 minutes. Gently close your eyes. Begin with 3 deep breaths, letting go of any tensions you can. Let your body breathe naturally again. Now feel the weight of your whole body on the chair or cushion, the feeling of pressure or warmth where your bottom contacts the seat. Feel the places of contact where your hands rest on your legs or touch each other, where your feet contact the floor or ground. Let yourself also be aware of the feeling of your clothing as it touches your skin, and the air as it touches your face. Keeping your eyes closed, let your awareness receive the play of images and light at the eyelids. You might notice a flickering of light and dark, or shapes, shadows, or images. Take a few moments to attend to seeing with relaxed, receptive awareness. Feeling your breath and sensing the space around you, be receptive to any sense that might be in the air. Discover what it is like to smell and receive the odors that are present just where you are. Now let your awareness open to the sounds around you. Receive the symphony of sounds and let it wash through you. Sounds soft or loud, not just with your ears, but with your whole awareness. Take a few moments to listen to the play of sounds and the space between sounds. Nearby sounds, distant sounds, Now, with the same receptivity, come back to sense the sensations and aliveness in your body. Bring your awareness inside your hands, feeling sensation there. Inside the soles of your feet. Inside your chest and head. Invite your awareness to fill your whole body and sense your physical form as a field of changing sensations. There is tingling, vibration, heat, cool, hard or soft, tight and flowing. And now let all your senses be wide open together, your body and mind relaxed and receptive. Allow life to flow freely through you, listening to and feeling your moment-to-moment experience. Sense what is present here and now. Let yourself appreciate this awake, inner space of presence and the full expression of aliveness that is here. As you complete this practice of awakening your senses, know that you can bring the same alert, open awareness to whatever you are doing next, aware of sounds, sensations, and the life of the senses.
Makes me want to open the window.
Please do.
I think I will.
Sensation of the clothes touching the skin. That one always gets me because I'm always like, oh, like it's always happening. I never feel it.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. So he began by giving you a hint. I always look for the finger pointing at the moon when he closes by saying, begin to experience your body as a field of sensation, okay? Not as something solid. That's why the Einstein quote, you do not have a solid body. It's one of the fictions that you create in your mind that keeps you hardened against the world, that keeps you rigid and inflexible because you think I'm a solid body. That's a fiction. That doesn't exist. What exists is a field of sensations, things getting turned on, turned off, the waves constantly doing like this. As Matthew's saying, there's all this motion, all this stimulation of our senses that we literally deaden ourselves to. That's why Jesus says, if you only had eyes to see, we just could see what's in front of us. We would see we live in the kingdom, that we're in that field of peace and joy and opportunity and fulfillment that we're looking for, but it's not in the hard body, it's in the soft body. We tend to equate strength with hard muscle. It's not strength. That's a brittleness and a weakness compared to the fluidity of a dancer. Ability to maintain balance in motion. So thoughts. Good.
Go ahead, Pam.
So I was in Texas and I came home late at night on Thursday, I think. It was really foggy. It was dark by the time that I got home. I woke up the next morning and I looked outside. Everything, and I think of California as not being very much of a change from one season to another. Everything had exploded. I had roses on my trees. I have flowers I never knew that I had in this yard because this is the first season. My senses were on overload when I walked outside that morning. Wow. So I really related to what you were saying, Bart, about being open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What a wonderful experience, isn't it?
I'm Beth. I'm not at an AA meeting, but forgot. Oh gosh. Oh, that was really good. When he talked about listening to the sounds, I'm sitting here in my room and I can hear the birds outside. And so I have these two beautiful French doors, and so I opened them, and then I could hear the birds way better. And there's so many of them, and I forget that right outside my door, and Bart understands this, that there's all this beauty, and I just kind of keep myself closed in sometimes. But I have a plant out here, and there's a mama bird that's made a nest in the plant, and I keep waiting for it to hear the babies cheeping. So I'm going to keep my door open more often so I can hear that. But uh, yeah, this has been good, and I feel like this is the first time I've even relaxed in 2 weeks. We had our grandkids all last week. Oh my god, they're so sweet, and we love them. We do, but they're 10 and 8, and it's a constant fight of get off the screens and let's go outside, and they don't want to.
Nope.
And so this time I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to fight you the whole time you're here. So they got fed, they were clean, they were dressed and safe, and that was the best I could do. So they're back home, and it's taking us an entire week to recover. I love them, I do. But anyway, thank you all. This was good, and I'm glad to see everybody.
Good to see you. Trying to get Beth to buy my house.
I'm not going to buy it because I don't want you to leave. If I move up there, who the fuck is going to be up there for me to hang out with?
She's an hour's drive outside New Orleans now, always going into New Orleans. But take the frame of reference up here and take an hour drive up to Texarkana. It's too far to go.
I know, but really, moving to Shreveport would be, yes, it would only be an hour from Texarkana instead of 5.5 hours, 6 hours from New Orleans. So I'm trying not to get attached. I'm just going to go with the flow.
Okay, I hope giant tidal wave flows you up north.
We're working on it.
So anybody else?
Yeah, I got something, a question.
Oh, good.
You were talking about the three ways of worlds and of life, like you could be dorsal and depressed, or you can be elated, and I already forgot the third and how that works. But I think being outside, like referring to what Paula just says, it's Paula, right? I think.
Beth.
Making the effort of going outside, it's so easy to, I don't know if it's just for me or if this is for most people, but it's so easy to stay depressed if you don't do that.
Yes, but it's actually reversed. It's if you don't go outside and take advantage of it, you get depressed. All
Well,
right.
that's what I mean.
Then when you get depressed, you don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
Study the dorsal part of your nervous system. That's exactly what it does. And we pathologize this and think that it's a neuroses or something, or low serotonin, and it's not. So what Beth just said, if you get 6 minutes of bird song, you shift to ventral. Okay. That's how quick nature can reboot you. But we build these boxes, and go back to that beautiful statement that what's his name in Untethered Soul has about, we build this cabin, we close the windows, we lock ourselves in to protect ourselves in childhood. It's like Beth was saying about the assault of her grandchildren, and the way your body wants to close down because it can't contain that intensity of new energy coming into the house. We live in a hostile fucking society, people. You're shut down for a reason. When I got sober and went back to bars, I knew why I had to drink to sit in a bar. Think about that. The only way I can handle the negative energy in that bar was to be totally numb. Well, look at the way we live on a daily basis. We're not in the energies that feed our soul. So think of energy as food. The reason why, do you know why you fast? The spiritual purpose of fasting? So that you can learn to nourish yourself through your other senses besides taste. Nourish yourself with sight, nourish yourself with sounds, nourish yourself with touch.
Okay, if you don't mind, Bart. So we're going from dorsal to ventral, but you talked about a third energy.
That's fight or flight. That's sympathetic nervous system. So dorsal and ventral are part of the parasympathetic
Sort of the
nervous system.
top and the bottom.
The front, okay? And the other one is the sympathetic. So sympathetic, parasympathetic. It's just they discovered that they are two channels to the vagus nerve, and they're extremely powerful. We knew the rest and digest. We did not understand its role in this depressed state. But it's a natural part of your body to go there. It's a sign that you're in survival mode. We should call that survival mode. Hunker down.
Withdrawn? Is that the
Yeah,
one you're talking
you're
about?
literally preparing to die. You're hibernating.
That's dorsal.
That's dorsal. It has a survival value.
And it can include depression.
Well, we describe it as depression because it changes your outlook on the world. Okay. Depression is low serotonin in the brain. This is not depression. Okay. People
Well,
just
it's
don't
not what we
grasp this.
think of as
It's
that
what they
label.
describe as depression. It's what the pharma has done to convince us that we need their medication. There's nothing, you can get low serotonin by not doing what it takes to lift your spirits. Yes, you will end up there. But the primary factor that causes it is that when you hit the dorsal mode, one, you feel like a failure. You feel hopeless about your future. There's no possibility of change, of getting to a better solution. You don't want to socialize. You want to stay withdrawn. These are all signals coming from your nervous system. Okay.
Okay, now, I'm sorry. I have a friend who's been dorsal for so long that she's immune to anything else, and she's not doing well. And I'm just trying to understand that. Thank you.
The reason is once you indulge this part of your brain, and I say that word as a counselor, it's an indulgence. Don't listen to what your brain is telling you. It's your brain telling you something that is totally irrelevant to where you're living. Get off your ass and go sit and listen to the birds and see what happens. Okay?
Yeah, well, you can't tell her that anymore. She's too far gone for that. She can't even feed herself anymore. She doesn't even eat anymore.
Okay.
She needs someone with her all the time I'll just tell her you're going to come over there, Bart, and stay with her for 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
I'll tell you, and some of you can verify this, people come in my office and tell me they have depression. By the end of an hour, they're ventral. And I ask, would you have believed when you walked in here that you would feel the way you're feeling right now? No, I never would have believed you, but here it is. And yet we will turn right around after that experience and forget that we had it. Shift back to our default of depression and deny that we just had a totally different experience. All right. So it's important for us to have this kind of a group to remind us.
Yes.
Go outside, do the simple thing. Get the sunlight, take a walk. Just walking gives you that protein that acts as an antidepressant. Just simple things. Now you want to read that? One of my favorite poems.
Yeah. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
So the discussion reminds me of this reading from Dana Falls, which is one of my favorites and speaks to, I think, what Bart described earlier. You mean to say that I am plugged into the same socket as that electric blue sky, so vibrant that I want to lose myself in its azure height? You mean that the same juice that runs the universe flows through me like a love song or a bolt of lightning? You mean life isn't about being good or perfect or virtuous, but daring to freely follow energy? Are you trying to say in your slow and patient way that the presence of God is everywhere? That even as I bumble through my life, I have no reason to hide. I'm a conduit for light. That even when I'm dull and uninspired, the seeds of my awareness are sprouting. Even now, how utterly audacious, but I know you're right. Holding back just leaves me feeling less alive, while letting go leads, well, I don't know where it leads, but I know it's where I'm heading. Yeah, Dana Falls, and I think she nails it in that one.
Yep.
It's beautiful if you can be that aware. But I was listening to Michael Franks today, which I do like his poetry a lot. And one line I thought for her would be good, that is, you're tired and lonely, the only chore will be love. Just that, you know, if she could look at it as a chore for right now, I have to do it.
Yeah, that's how it feels when you're dorsal.
Yeah.
Everything feels like a chore.
Mhm.
I mean, you walk by the paper on the floor and you go, I should pick that up. And
Yeah, but to make the understanding that the only importance is to feel about everything we talked about. That's the only thing to do. You know, to feel the senses, to figure out that your body, what your body needs right in that instant, and to follow that. You know, that's love. You know,
that is
Yes,
love.
it is.
Yeah. If it, and that's why lovemaking is such a beautiful metaphor for it, is that you can often feel your resistance to it, and that you soften the resistance. And the more you soften, the more energy you feel, the more you feel your partner's energy, the more excited you get, the more connected you feel, the more you're able to let go back into the flow. It's,
I think anytime you offer up your awareness to something, to someone, it's love. You're
Yeah.
offering up yourself.
well, yeah, this whole thing is definitely making me ventral. This
Yeah.
whole experience. I mean, I was there for 3 days and I worked like a dog. You know, and I have more energy than I had before I started working. So, it's making me ventral for sure, and I realize that too. But that song in the end, it says, sing that song forgotten for so long. You know the dance. You
Yep.
know the dance. You know it. Anyhow, I'll shut up now.
Is the dance the funky chicken or walking the dog?
Either one.
I remember this meditation was really cool today, about the senses. I remember, I don't know if it was a meditation that we did here or something that I read, but it reminded me of being aware of the absence of sensation in relation to pain. I had a hot flash during this meditation, and any woman who's ever had a hot flash knows what that's like. And when it happens, your immediate reaction is to, I mean, you have to disrobe, and it does not matter where you are or who is watching. Clothes are coming
I
out.
missed something in my meditation during your hot flash.
So I'm having this hot flash during this, get in touch with your senses meditation. And my immediate, go-to is, to start taking stuff off. And I didn't, because I thought, the hot flash isn't going to kill me. What's the worst that's going to happen is I'm just going to get really hot. And so I was like really in touch with like, how it kind of creeps up in the middle of your back, up the back of your head. I'm feeling the perspiration start popping on my forehead. I can feel my face getting red. I can feel my armpits start sweating. And then I can feel it going away.
Yes.
And then I was like really aware of the not hot flash. So there's that.
Exactly. And when you finally, instead of fighting it, started paying attention and getting curious, what was that like as opposed to the
Suffering.
impulse to take your clothes off?
Well, it was uncomfortable, but it kind of distracted me from the discomfort of it. Like
Okay.
usually I'm just like, it's hot, overwhelming. And
Yeah.
it's not, anyway, women who have it, you understand, it's inside. And
Yeah.
I just was able to really focus on the sensation. Like I was able to follow it.
So notice the quality between being able to follow it and be present to it as opposed to doing something to change it.
Doing.
So what you did there is exactly what we mean by not allowing the Shenpa, that resistance, that desire to change the experience, actually soften to it, not let it make you do anything, and stay present for the ride.
I won't ever do that again though. Hot flash later, I'm taking the clothes off, just so you know.
Bart, I'm wondering about animals, dogs in particular. When my grand dog comes to visit, all he wants to do is to be out on my balcony, and whether he's standing or sitting or he likes to lie down with his nose in between the bars. He doesn't bark, but he watches the people coming and going. He looks out, we have a nice view of the mountains, and he just lies there and looks around. And when I take him for a walk, sometimes I walk on a trail, he just looks at everything. He sniffs the air, he sniffs the ground, and he doesn't think, I don't think.
No.
I mean, it's not like he's evaluating whether it's a nice day. So I'm wondering if a dog or a cat might be more attuned just to being aware of surroundings, the way they smell, the way it smells, the way it feels. There are places he doesn't like to walk because I think it's hard on his feet. It's not like he's thinking, oh, I don't want to walk on those stones, they're going to be hard on my feet. He just feels them and then wants to walk away.
Yeah.
So maybe animals are just more tuned in to awareness of their surroundings.
Okay. But I watched an interesting thing with our dog yesterday. He is a rescue dog and spent his early life kenneled. He was part of a dog breeding mill. And yesterday, Linnell left and he went dorsal. And he normally loves to play with his ball. I throw the ball, he runs and chases, so joyous. I could not get him to look at the ball. All he wanted to do was to pace back and forth between the gate and the back door until she got home. As soon as she got home, he runs and gets the ball. So if you observe closely in nature, you'll see they go dorsal too, and they get into fight or flight. Okay. So we tend to romanticize and think that they're always in the kingdom. No, they're not. Given these negative experiences, their brains can be conditioned to take them out of ventral too. Now, think about kids. Part of spirit is curiosity. Think about how many times, what's that? What's that? Does a kid ask that question? And how many times a day do you ask that? What happened to that active curiosity about what's going on? What's going on? What's happening? What's happening? Well, they lock us in a room, totally squelch that curious energy. Sit still or we will punish you. Okay? And in the same way in the house, be still, be quiet, children to be seen, not heard, blah, 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 go to your room, blah, blah, blah. We are still parenting ourselves the way we were parented.
Parenting.
We are still abusing ourselves, even though we're free. We're like animals been raised in cages. They put them out in the wild. They go back in the cage. We orient to our captivity. We listen to our brains, which is giving us signals saying going outside and playing is dangerous. And it's not just a subtle message, it's a survival message to not stay wild. Okay?
Well, I gotta talk one more time because it's not just that. I think it's also the choices you make. You know, it's not that you can choose to look at the news all day long, or you can choose not to do that. And that's a mental choice you can make, you know. And it's not just that you're still abusing yourself, but you can do this. You can and you can do it slowly, and you can get away from it, you know.
If you're awake, Corinne,
If
but
you're aware.
I can.
Well, but to a certain point,
okay.
you know, we all are at this point where we all have this point where we can choose. You know, it doesn't matter if you're asleep or awake. You have that one point where you can where you can decide which way am I going to go with this, no matter how weak you are, and you just have to push. I think, you know.
Okay, except that neuroscience doesn't validate what you say. As a matter of fact, what it shows is that you make a decision a half second before you're aware that you've made the decision. You've read some of the same thing, maybe, Tiff. So, you know, what we're actually doing is our conditioned brain is making our choices during the day, and we rubber stamp it. And the only way to stop that repetition compulsion, and that's the name for it, we're repeating the patterns of our conditioning, is to be awake in the present moment and feel that impulse, that Shenpa, that the Tibetan Buddhism talks about.
So it's the power of the pause.
Right. So I will sit in the car driving between Texarkana and think, oh, I'm having this wonderful experience in the car, not being distracted, and watch myself push the radio button. Then I'll stop pushing the radio button, but the impulse to push the radio button starts again. To be able to not do, as Tiffany was saying, to not take my clothes, not push the radio, see the anxiety that emerges when you actually try to make a choice. I
don't know. I think we're talking about something different. I can't really explain it. To me, that's already going into the negative. You know, to me, it's like when you experience the beauty, the pause, you know what Linnell said, the pause, you know, when you experience the beauty, you have that pause. And I do think that you can go towards the ventral, you know, you can choose that. I don't think that's a conditioned thing. You know, I think that's an awareness that you have. And you can do that.
I would say most of us can, but in the instance of your friend, you know, she's
yeah, I'm struggling with that greatly, you know.
She can't make a compassionate choice.
Right. So you know, again, Corinne, and maybe we can talk about this later, the holding a space for people. We underestimate that. Surround her with compassion, surround her with openness, with spaciousness. By you staying ventral, that enables her to move ventral. If
Well,
I
I know that, yeah, we can talk about that later, Bart. I'm aware of that. I don't want to take all the time of everything, you know. But
Oh,
thank you, and I really do think the pause and shop for it. That I'm going to go with those things today. I'm going to leave this today with the pause and shop for it.
Hey,
yes.
Thank you all so much. It's great.
All right, 3 rounds of Ohm and the raspberry. And I would like to comment to Channing, you know, so often you see cartoons for meditation with a person walking a dog, and the bubble above the person's head is monkey mind. And the bubble above the dog's head is the tree and whatever he's
is in
looking
front
at,
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he's present.
Yeah.
Dogs know how to be present.
Yeah, I think that is a great example. Okay. Breath in. Hey.
I gotta fly, y'all. Love you. Have a good
Bye.
weekend.
Love to see you.
Mwah. Love you, Daddy.
Bruce.
Bruce and Gina and Dale
Um,
want to get together.